Welcome to the 9th episode of Hot Topics, a fire and EMS-related podcast filmed at the HCAM Studios in Hopkinton, Mass. Today we have very blessed to have Captain Vinny Zannella from Framingham Fire. He's a captain, he's retired, and he was a big coordinator on the dive team. A little bit on the show. This is fire and EMS-related. We cover abroad. We do local, we do regional, and we do some national people that we talk with in the fire service. And we're not here, one thing I'm very clear on, we're not here to second-guess any incident commander that did anything out in the street. That's not why we're here. So we won't, if the discussion goes there someday, and it hasn't yet, we won't go there. We'll cut that off. But I was the fire chief with Hopkinton Fire for 44 years. My last 7 as chief. And a long time ago, Jim Cousins said, "Hey, you want to do a show?" I said, "Nah, I don't know." And then after I retired, I said to him, and then he asked me, I said, "Oh, look good, and I enjoy it, and we've had some really good topics." And today I'm looking forward to having Vinny here and describe what we're going to do. And I'm going to read you Vinny's bio. Very accomplished at Framingham Fire, and we'll go from there. Captain Zannella is a retired fire captain with the City of Framingham, Mass. Fire Department. During his career, he was assigned to engine and aero companies as a firefighter and fire officer. He completed his last 5 years as captain of the city's heavy rescue unit, which is a very commendable position. He holds accreditations of Firefighter 1-2, Fire Officer 1-2, Fire Instructor 1, and he was a founding member of the Fire District 14 dive team and a team leader for 12 years. He is dive rescue certified in ice, salvage, and boat operations. He is also nationally certified in wreck, night, and night trucks diving operations. He was also a very busy man. He was also assigned for over 10 years as a member of the Fire District 14 Technical Rescue Team, and we've had some other shows that we've talked about those. But today we're here for the dive team. And welcome, Vinny. Thank you for taking
Thank you for
time
having
for
me.
your busy schedule. And I was very loose in not saying I'd like to have a moment of silence for the special day today. And everyone says, "Oh, this is 9/11." And I think Vinny's very much like me. It's not just 9/11 that you remember those people that we lost that day, but it's every day of the week you think about them. And let's have a quick moment of silence for them. And thank you very much for going along with that. Now I got some questions for Vinny. Vinny, can you share with our audience where you grew up and where you went to high school and things like that? Would you play any sports?
Yeah. Basically, it was my father was in the military, so he did 26 years in the military, Army, Air Force, and then the Air Force itself. So I grew up in Okinawa, traveled to Florida for a while, and when he retired in 71, we moved here. Spent all my time in Framingham, went to Framingham South High School. Played football and lacrosse at Framingham High School, and still today I referee lacrosse. I've been involved in starting 2 different youth programs in different towns that I lived in, and other than the fire department, lacrosse would be my next passion.
Yeah, that was like one that my boys, I never played, they never had it in Hopkinton here when I grew up, we did football and basketball, but the boys went to that early, and I think the youngest one started when he was only 6, so it's like, and it went all the way through, so it was very important sport at our house. Like all the windows in the garage that were missing, and the dents in the siding is all like
broken.
Yeah, exactly. I think I had to replace every window when they were done. Can you tell us a little bit about your family, Vinny?
My family, my wife is a teacher. My daughter is in Tennessee as a paralegal. And just been there about a year and a half now. And my son works for a civil engineering firm. He's working on bridges in.
Yeah, a lot of bridge work around Massachusetts lately. I was just watching one the other day go up by 495. Okay, and I know that Framingham's a big city. I think what, you got 5 houses there?
5 houses. They're trying to add 2 more.
No way.
Because they're over 14,000 runs last year.
Yeah.
So they're trying to add they're trying to add an extra ladder truck, make it regionalized, and trying to add another engine towards 990. Up by the Southborough line, and use that for the high rises because second engines in are 6-8 minutes out sometimes for the high rises, which makes
it's a long time waiting when you get something going.
That's a long time at a high rise.
I remember watching that fire that you guys had one day by Temple Street. there was a high rise you had there, and that was a busy fire. Even with all the help that you had on, I had my radio with me, and I listened in the parking lot, standing back from the command post that day, and listened. And I was very impressed by how well you guys work and the coordination there and things like that.
Yeah.
It was interesting. But someone called me. I was off duty that day, and I took a ride down and checked it out. So it's like very rarely chase fires, but they said a high rise. I said, I got to go see what goes on here.
The Temple Street fire where we had the Ashland truck in the backside. Had people on the balconies. Yes.
Picked them off. Yep. Now, when you say 2 more houses in addition to the 5, so you have a total of 7?
Well, they're trying to get 2 more, but we have the 5 now.
Yeah.
We have a ladder truck, a tower truck, the heavy rescue, and 5 engines.
Yeah.
And we also have Brewster Ambulance that has 5 stations also, so we have 5 ambulances in town also.
Oh, there you go.
It's private.
Bet you keep them busy, too, all the time.
And we'll call
Can't even imagine. Yep, what it's like there. So which and I have to ask, what were your favorite assignments?
By far the rescue.
Yeah,
by far the rescue.
Yeah. That was
you get to do a little bit of everything.
Yep.
You get to go to every single call. And basically, being on the rescue, being the only rescue in town, we were basically the right-hand man for the incident commander.
Yep.
So we got to do a little bit of everything on every call.
I say the same thing. It's not as many runs as what you did here, but that was my favorite assignment when I got that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. The highways were really busy, Mass Pike and 45, and it was like the whole rescue-oriented type stuff was just so much stuff to learn, and it was all good stuff every day. So it's like, now what got you into the dive and rescue assignment, Vinny? What started with that?
I learned how to dive when I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And when I got on the fire department, Framingham had, at that time, 16 divers, 4 per shift. They were having some older people retire. They put out a notice to have people join the team. And I joined the team. I showed them my credentials, and they says, okay, well, that's all great, but we want you to be dive rescue certified. So I had to go out on my own, get dive rescue certified. Was the first, me and one other guy were the first 2 people to get dive rescue certified, so they put both of us on the team at the time. So at that time, like I said, we had 16 people. We would dive twice a month, and we would dive once on duty and once off duty.
Yeah, that's good. Now, being the first 2 dive rescue, if I remember, that's out of Colorado?
Colorado diving.
I remember that, yeah. Because that's like, we did some ice diving with them early in the teams early before it was organized, maybe even before you got on it. But I know it was very, very loose.
Well, we did one ice dive years ago with Worcester, Lieutenant Kramer.
Yeah.
Did our first ice dive together.
Yeah.
And then we decided that we needed, or the chiefs decided that we needed some national accreditation, an outside audit, outside company to basically audit the team, and that's when we brought dive rescue.
That's serious stuff when it's like, when we get to open water, you can just like, if you have run into a problem, you can hit your BC and go positive and go up, and you don't have that goal when you that ability when you're under the ice. Yep, I remember that. And first time I got my into the dry suits too. You know what I mean? We're doing that, so it was like interesting stuff.
When I took my ice class with Lieutenant Kramer, we dove wet.
The first ones were. That's when we first got into it. Yeah, all that stuff was new. I think they were. The suits were from like Sweden or something like that.
Yes.
And really good stuff, and it was good stuff to learn, and it's like very good. So, can you explain to what was the status of the dive team when you got involved? Was it like a little loose? I know that that was one of the things when you were a team leader, I watched as a deputy in chief standing back, that you really took that and added a ton of structure to it.
So when the team was in Framingham, it had a very good structure. Lieutenant Magby was the dive leader back then, and he was stern and had good structure. And I kind of got a lot of my structure took from what he taught me. Mm-hmm. There was a incident in Hopkinton. Of course, the incidents never happen when everybody's around. They always happen when everybody's on vacation, on a weekend. Hopkinton had a few I think you had 6 or 8 divers at the time.
Yeah.
Only a couple showed up. Called Ashland. They had 6 or 8 divers. Only a couple showed up. after the incident, they said, we need to find a bigger team. That's when Chief Doherty and Chief Key got together and called Framingham and got Framingham involved. So Framingham, Ashland, and Hopkinton started diving together.
Yeah.
And it was very loose. Like you said, it would move around, move around, move around. Finally, somebody stepped forward. Well, instead of stepping forward, everybody else stepped back. I wasn't paying attention. So I ended up trying to help. I had Tommy Ronaldo and I had your brother Fran kind of guide me because they've been involved in some other stuff. So we kind of picked a day. This is when we're going to dive from now on. Then we had operational chiefs of Chief Slammin, Chief Parenti, and Chief Purcell, who said, you guys are doing great, but we need SOGs. We need a whole plan. We need to have a structure from the top down. They were a great help bringing our ideas to the district chiefs.
And someone that doesn't know, excuse me for a second, the SOGs is standard operating guidelines, so they do the same thing all the time at specific incidents. It follows a guideline.
It's a guideline.
Yeah.
It's not etched in stone, but this is what we would like to see done.
Yeah.
So we did the SOGs. They brought them to the district chiefs. The district chiefs were all like, great. And once they saw that we were diving every month and doing well, other teams started to come onto the team. So we ended up having 14 different towns representing 23 towns in District 14. So we ended up having 40 people on the dive team. Mm-hmm. The dive team had everybody, when I left, was Dive Rescue 1 and 2 certified. They were Dive Rescue certified in ice, night, and rope operations and boat operations. They're trying to get deep diving in. So, and it's just a constant funding battle of how we're going to get all the funding and everybody through all the classes, because it is a cost to have somebody come in and audit you and teach you how to dive. Some of the team half the team was current dive certified also. We were, because for some of the rivers around here that we've had to have some, we had
the Swiftwater. Charles is one example.
The team just deployed to Merrimack and dove the Merrimack River just a couple months ago. So,
and I was going to get to that later, but while you brought that up, I thought that was a huge thank you to you for bringing, as a leader of the team, for bringing that structure. When I heard they were going to go there, my thing was be careful. It's awful, awful water. You know, the current's strong, a lot of underwater obstacles. We did some training with the state police when I was first done it in the, 80 or 81 when I did it. And my chief said, you still diving? We need a diver. And he sent me to the state police for 2 weeks to learn how to be. Was Patty certified then, and it was but we did at the mouth of it, and it was just ferocious water. You'd be ready to reach for something, and the current would move you over 5 to 6 feet in a second. You know what I mean?
A change in your shoulders, a change in your arms just moves you. And then we have to swim to get to a point. It's exhausting to swim to that point.
Yeah, and it was just ferocious, a lot of underwater obstacles. And we were in the good part where it almost was in the water. Where they went was in the, I forget, was it Lawrence they were in? Was it?
I believe they were in Lawrence, yes.
I think so. And
so they're in the, I believe the water was only 6 to 8 feet deep. But like you said, tree stumps. Everything. Vehicles. Vehicles, shopping carts, all that kind of stuff. But that was a testament to the structure and training of the team, because that was a state police operation, and they called from up there to District 14 to get the team, because you guys had, and you can maybe give me some definition on that, or some detail, is because they had trained and worked with you guys, knew what you could do, know what you wouldn't do, and they called you in, which is that's unheard of before that. You know what I mean? So on the district team right now, we have just 8 Framingham police officers. We used to have Westboro, and at one time we had a Hopkinton. And I don't know if you remember the incident, but we had those 3 kids that went out and stole a canoe in Hopkinton.
On Lake Whitehall.
On Lake Whitehall. And when Chief Schultz, who was a captain at the time, went up to the state police and asked them if they had information, because we were going to put divers in the water, he looked at them and said, firefighter? He says, we got this. And then one of our sergeants, Sergeant Montori, walked up to this officer and said, "Hey, can you give us information? We're going to put divers in the water." He turned around and handed him basically the whole clipboard. Here's what we got for you.
Yeah.
So that was our first interaction with the state police. Then by accident, we were at the state police pool doing our yearly recertification. So every year, everybody has to go through the basic standard tests to show that they can still do their job. While we were there, state police walked in and said, "You have this many people at a training? Well, training's mandatory. They have to do this or they can't dive until they do this on their own."
Yeah.
We led to a big conversation. Next thing you know, the following month, they dove with us in Framingham. So they realized our capabilities.
Yep.
We weren't just a ragtag group of people thrown together.
Yep.
They liked us. We got along. And then we dove an incident in Natick where we were, last seen point, we were 4 feet away from the person who had fallen out of the canoe. They were coming over to our last seen point. Basically, it's a sweep pattern we're doing. It's a V. They were covering our side. We bumped into each other, and the victim was right there.
There you go.
So it took a while. There was a little bit of a language barrier trying to get to the person. The person was closer towards railroad tracks, so we had to shut down the train. There was a ball game in Boston that people were trying to exit to, so it took a little while to get to the victim. But
all those
victim
logistics.
The victim was found that night within 2 hours of the phone call.
No, that's really, really good.
It gives a closure to the family.
Exactly. I'm just going to say that.
So
that's important. That's critical.
Showing we're doing it quick and getting it.
Yeah, that's good.
We've also incorporated 2 cadaver-sniffing dogs onto the team right before I left. And they work great around the water. It's unbelievable to watch them work.
Yep.
If we have an extended operation where, like we had in Ashland, where nobody saw the person go under. They just found a pile of clothes and a bike. So we had to basically dive the whole lake. Then we spent 8 hours there diving the lake, didn't find anything. The next day there was a snowstorm, so it got rid of any evidence. They brought in a cadaver-sniffing dog, 2 dogs, hit within...
Yeah, they put them right up in the bow of the boat.
Yeah,
and just,
within 15 feet of each other. So that's where we started looking, and the second diver found the victim again. Yeah,
we had some experience with that years ago at the Seguin incident with that family in the back part of the state of the Hopkins Reservoir, west of 85. There's a big pond up in there. We were in there with the cadaver dogs, you know what I mean? And great resource, state police probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, no, they're Auburn Fire, and the other one was a police dog, but not state police.
Yeah,
it was a police dog.
Yeah, and it's like just a great, and they're like just want to do their job, the dogs, and right up in the bow, and I was actually rowing them, so it was like.
Well, I think that's the first time we met. You were rowing the boat when we were up in Mill Pond.
In Westboro, yeah.
In Westboro.
Yeah, it was a shallow area. The boats wouldn't do good. And it's like, I can handle that for you.
Yeah.
But it's like, from the outside looking in, it seems you have good representation from across the fire district.
Again, operational chiefs did great when we had the first group of operational chiefs. The second group of operational chiefs were Chief Judge, Chief Schultz, and Chief Johannes out of Hudson. Again, they backed us when we would give them a plan. This is what we would like to train in. This is who we would like to bring on the team. This is how many members we had. The SOG says 40 members plus any police that want to be involved. They always kept us staffed. The classes that we took, if we took an ice dive class and we had new members come on the team, they would pay for those new members to take the class. The new members had to travel on their own. Yep. So part of being on the team, but they would pay for the class. So we had good support through our operational chiefs, which would then bring in people from outside. And every year we would have, if we had an opening, we would have interviews throughout the district and let the board decide who was coming in and who was coming off. The reasons for not taking somebody, one time we had a guy apply for the team, and he said he dove in college, and he hadn't dove since college, and there's a 12, 15-year difference. You dove, I dove. When you first started diving, you never wanted to stop diving.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
somebody took a class to get some credits and then wasn't interested, and then we had other people that had long resumes, and we took them over somebody.
And the captain talks about the plan that they bring to the incident commander or the operations officer at an incident. It's called an incident action plan, an IAP, and they develop a plan. They look at what the incident has progressed to when the dive team gets there. They look at what the lake is like or a quarry or whatever, and they say we can, in the last scene point, which the cap talked about earlier, and then what they do is they develop sometimes primarily an A, but sometimes even a B, because sometimes the A one, you'll run into something that doesn't work like you thought it would be when you get underwater. So they come up to a couple of different ideas. They present that to the incident commander in the particular community that you're working in, and they kind of buy off on it. You know what I mean? You got to explain it to them. They sign off on it, and away they go, and everyone goes to work, and things get done, and hopefully we bring closure to the family. Yeah. Like you said before, that's very important. Now, how long does it take for a new firefighter to become fully trained and be operational?
So once they get on the team, we ask that the person be a firefighter for at least 3 years in their town before they come on the team. They're on the team for 2 years as a probationary firefighter. In that 2-year time, they have to get Dive Rescue 1 and 2 certified. They have to train. They have to show up to 20 training events out of the 24, and they have to dive at 16 of the 24.
Yep.
And at that time, that's a controlled environment. We usually have another diver above them, with them, beside them. To keep an eye around here, being in the black water, it's a little tough, but we always have the backup diver and a 90% diver, and more times than not, when we have a new diver in the water, we have a diver at the surface close to the diver in case he gives us. So we're always on a rope, and we do rope signals. Most of the ropes now have comms in them, so you can actually talk. Back when we started diving, you were on the end of the rope and you were pulling, giving signals back and forth.
Was that 2 tugs or 3 tugs?
Exactly.
No,
now, being able to talk is very easy to calm somebody down. If
they got all the communications right in the mast.
Right in the mast. They don't have to touch a button or anything.
That's unbelievable.
They just talk to us, and you can tell if somebody's struggling. All right, slow your breathing down. Okay, you're coming towards me when you should be going away from me.
Yeah.
Switch the rope into your opposite hand, and you can talk people through different challenges that you can't see them doing on the surface. That when we started, it was, how come he's going in that direction? Change direction again. You can talk people through it. Something that was really good on the dive team was I was never in charge of all of the drills. If we were coming to Hopkinton, I would put the Hopkinton firefighters in charge of the drill.
Yep.
If we were going to Concord, the Concord firefighters were in charge of the drill. So everybody got to go through the whole command structure.
Yep.
And so
great way to do it.
Well, we said nobody drowns when everybody's around.
Yeah.
They always drown on a weekend.
Yeah.
They always drown during vacation time.
No.
So whoever shows up first on scene, we had one where there was a drowning in Wayland. A Western firefighter was working down the street. He heard the call on his radio, got to the lake, saw the first scene point, got out in a boat with somebody out who was a competent rope tender, and said, look, I'm going to go down, and I'm going to see if I can see him. When he went down, he had roughly 15 feet of visibility in Walden Pond. He could see the victim. The victim was up out of the water and in the ambulance before the second diver showed up.
Yeah.
That's how it works out.
Those are the things you do.
Those are the things you do.
You always like you said, it's good to have a backup present when you go, but that's still in the rescue mode rather than the recovery mode.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Risk reward. As opposed to the guideline that says you need to have a backup diver, a 90% diver, and 2 tenders. That's your SOG. If everything goes right, that's what we would like to see. But if we have a chance to make a rescue, we make the rescue.
That's why we have guidelines.
Yes.
And one last question. What was probably your most challenging dive operations? How would you rank them?
The most challenging dive operation?
One that you worked on.
Is the one in the quarry.
Yeah.
Where we had to set up rope we had to lower people to the boat.
Yep.
They had to do a boat operation from the boat. Once they got to the boat, after they got lowered down to the boat, the quarry is always dark. It's always cold. It's always deep. I don't know anybody who's ever got to the bottom of the quarry.
No, I never did.
I never did.
No.
And I'm certified for 105 feet. So I got to the bottom of the Ashland quarry. I've never got to the bottom of the Hopkinton or the Milford quarries.
That we go into a lot in Milford was shelf cut. Shelf, like, if I remember, it's like 4 or 5 feet, and then there was like this going down, and you would travel the shelves till they turned you, and then you drop down to the next shelf and come back, and it was all by feel. It was kind of like being in a really, really smoky fire. The visibility was like, you might be able to see your hand if you did that in front of your face piece, and it was like same as a fire, and it was like no visibility, and you would just go until you would run.
The last person we recovered from the quarry, the diver, basically his mask brushed up against the guy's sneaker, and that's how we found him.
Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? You don't see anything in there. It's all by feel.
Yep.
It's like they're right in your face all of a sudden. But that's the last question I got. I'm going to switch to my section now on questions from the community that I get on my email. And from Kim in Hopkinton, how does the fire department get its funding for the budget? In Hopkinton, it's the selectmen set a strategy. The town manager interviews and has meetings with the department heads, and they come to an understanding. If there's an increase, the department head, the fire chief, police chief, whoever has to sell that to the town manager, and then you get a working budget that goes into effect for July 1st in Hopkinton. From Tim in Hopkinton, I was in the CVS parking lot and noticed an old military truck. I smiled when I heard this, painted red, parked behind the firehouse. What is this truck used for? We still do a lot of brush fires, and we have some really, really challenging sections over the line in Milford by the quarries, up on the hill across from Sandy Beach, and the ability to go. You need the ability to go off-road, and that's a 5-ton military. It's our third one. We started with 2.5 tons of 56, and then we had a 81, and this is a 90. This was unbelievable. It had 2 things: power steering for the first time and an automatic transmission.
Premium as a
so it's like so that works out really good, and it doesn't get used a lot, but it's worth its weight in gold when you do it. It brings in 1,200 gallons of water, and you usually put it in a dump tank, and a smaller pump will pump out of it, and that truck keeps moving to keep the water supply. And the last question I have from Marion Hopkins: do the firefighters cook at the firehouse? That's kind of like a tradition in all firehouses. I know there's one cook here, Patrick Gross, that kind of like, he needs to be on everybody's group because he's such a good firefighter and he lives in town, but it's because he's a fantastic cook. He actually won, years ago, they had I think it was Ron Zoni Pasta for the marathon, did a firehouse cook, and you had to have a certain amount of food under a certain, like $4 or $4.50 a serving, and Patrick won, and he tried it out for weeks before. And we ate well, he was figuring it out, but he won a whole pallet. He was picked, all the firehouses from Hopkinton to Boston on the marathon route were able to participate, and he won it. And we got a trailer truck pulled in one day, and a whole pallet full of pasta arrived, all different kinds of pasta from Ronzoni. So that was kind of interesting.
When my experience is this, there's always a cook on the group, but everybody has a special dish that they like to make.
Yeah.
So one night it could be, hey, Chief, you want to make your dish tonight? You go shop, and the Chief would make his dish.
No, that's all part of it. And that's why a lot of people will see the trucks parked in Hopkins, like Price Chopper or something like that. They go in at the beginning of the shift, buy the stuff for the meals for their whole 24-hour shift, and then they go back and cook when they have time in between calls and stuff like that.
And you always get the questions, why do you have to do it on shift? Well, we don't know who's going to be in.
Yeah.
There's allergies, there's how many.
Yeah.
And then A, and then B, are we going to have time with training to cook? There are days when between training and runs, you don't have time to cook, so you're ordering out.
Yeah, exactly. But that's all I got for this episode of HCAM Hot Topics, and I encourage people in the audience to send questions to my email, and it's hottopics@hcam.tv. Any question that you have regarding the fire and EMS, send it, and we'll ask that on the show like we just did with these questions at the very end. And I want to thank the captain for taking time from his busy schedule and sharing his experiences with me. Thanks, Vinny.
Thank you.